It's time for my return to the Brushes with Death DLC in Kingdom Come Deliverance II.
Cut the bullshit and fight! Mercy, spare me!
Last time, I saved a troubled artist from near death, killed one of his mortal enemies, and then got told to meet him in Kuttenberg if I wanted to learn more about him. As I like to say before kicking off,
let's get to it.
I roll into town by horse carriage and the driver kicks me off for vigorously masturbating. I must have misunderstood him when he kept screaming at me to fucking get off. You never know what dangerous individuals lurk around these parts, and I'd rather not meet death tonight. Well, never mind. From what this strange old lady tells me about her line of work, she's either death in the human form, or one of Henry's most devoted stalkers.
I'm leaving now. Good luck, Henry of Skullets.
You know my name, and you know where I'm from.
I was there. It kept me very busy.
Finally, I reach the city and catch up with Voyta. He's been commissioned by the abbot of Sedlitz Monastery to paint an altarpiece, so it's a pretty big deal.
The best craftsmen in the entire town are working on it.
The best? So how did you end up involved in it?
It's here that we meet Bellissimo, a snaky former friend who Voyta used to study with and hasn't seen for 20 years. He then brags about painting for lords in Italy like a middle-aged white guy living in Thailand with a girlfriend half his age. Bellissimo's like, yeah, so that painting of yours, the abbot's actually commissioned me instead, big man, sucks to be you. Before exiting the chat, he also invites Voyta to the bathhouse he stays at, like a smug prick. Obviously losing to him isn't an option, my fragile masculine ego just won't allow it. I visit the girlie who runs the bathhouse, asking for as much dirt on B-Man as possible. He tells me he often spends all his time here drinking, often getting tossed out like a lime scooter in the river. I also ask about Voyta, and it turns out Bellissimo sabotaged his first big job as a painter, and no one even knows how. With that kind of betrayal, he has every reason to become a villain, but that's why I'm here. I snoop around Bellissimo's room and find out that he's working on the altarpiece for free as penance for his sins. Turns out he's terrified of going to hell, so time to do a Batman Begins and use his greatest fears against him. The plan is to disguise me as the devil and confront Bellissimo alone like he's about to be taken to hell. It's amazing what you could trick people into believing back in the 1400s. Alchemy, demons, prayer and divine intervention to cure your illness. I bring Voyta what he needs, and with his artistic talents, I get what just might be my favorite outfit in the game. First, I track down Bellissimo at the Bathhouse Tavern, and he's already half drunk. We make toast after toast after toast until he's out cold. I haul him to his workshop, change into costume, and set up the garden for my Oscar-worthy performance. Even on the brink of damnation, Bellissimo still has the nerve to deny any wrongdoing. I push him further about his sins, and he finally caves when I mention his betrayal of Voyta. He's at my mercy, so I tell him to drop the commission and immediately leave for Rome. He also has to say 3 Hail Marys in every town along the way, and tell everyone to like and subscribe to the channel.
Right now? But it's so dark!
As dark as your soul, bullshit-imo. Shall I tear it to shreds?
With Bellissimo gone, Voyta's thrilled like he just got unblocked by his favorite ex. I ask again about his mysterious past, and this time he tells me to visit a small abandoned dugout before he explains more. Getting Voyta to talk about his past is harder than getting Jeff Bezos to understand business ethics. When I get to the dugout, there's a random dude just chilling by the fire, and I say how do you do so I'm not mistaken for a home invader. He's all like,
never should have come here.
I rough him up with literally one hit, and we opt for a mature conversation instead. His name is Libor, and it's an awkward chat since his brain is more scattered than JFK's.
And get the shovel! We can't just leave him here like this!
Leave who? Damn it, man, what are you babbling about?
Is it you? My friend!
He also drops a bomb about Voyta, telling me that Burkhard killed him years ago. I get back to Voyta, once again with more questions than answers. He explains that the place was a childhood hangout spot for himself, Libor, and their other friend, Voyta.
What are you talking about?
You see, the Voyta that Libor talked about was actually an old friend from back in the day. When Voyta joined Burkhard's gang, his friends tried to stop him, and he was killed as an example for anyone who might betray the gang. Racked with guilt, the painter took his name as a way to keep him alive because identity theft in the 1400s was just called rebranding. Voyta sends me to dead Voyta's grave to say a prayer for them both, and there's a tree with the initials R, V, and L carved in. I give the place a tidy, then pray for the rest and well-being of 2 whole-ass Voytas. Temptation gets the better of me when I have the option to dig up the grave, and as expected, I find a skeleton that's very much missing a skull. Well, well, well. This guy not only takes his dead friend's name, but also his skull. I wonder what part of my human remains he'll be painting when I die. These nuts? I get back to Voyta, let him know the prayers went well, and ask him about the initials on the tree. With R having to be the first letter of his name, I try having a stab at it myself. Remy, Rubius, Rajesh. Looks like he's been Voyta for so long, he can't recall his old name anymore and doesn't even want to. I'll just call him Rorschach from now on, because what they both lack in mental stability, they make up for in character. When I tell him I dug up the grave, he admits everything. The skull, the voices in his head, all of it. Back at the pagan shrine, when he said the place was speaking to him, he was talking about a voice in his head that's constantly tormenting him. Apparently it blames him for Voyta's death, and he thought it would stop after we killed Burkhard, but still it goes on. Sometimes it's just roasting him, other times screaming at him like my neighbors when they're having a domestic. A few side missions later, all that's left is to retrieve some carved figurines to go with the altarpiece, but there's one little problem named Krudosh. Krudosh is an apprentice who made the Virgin Mary statuette and got bitch-slapped by the boss for taking too long. Now he's run off with it and hasn't been seen like my stepdad who went to get milk. Turns out Krudosh and one of the carpenters sell knockoff goods to a group of bandits out in the woods, so that's likely where the young man is at. I spot Krudosh tied to a tree, and sure enough, I've come to the right place. I have a chat with the leader and ask nicely for the statuette. Of course, this goes about as well as using a phishing photo on Tinder, so instead I butcher them all and take it back myself. I get back to Rorschach, and we have a heart-to-heart about the journey we've been on together. He also says that calling him Rorschach is quite offensive, so to avoid getting cancelled in the future, I go back to calling him Voyta. We then get a montage of Voyta locking in, with the skull still yapping to him, but he powers through like a champ. Hopefully soon, the big man can put some of these demons to rest. Some guys from the monastery turn up, and they're all like,
This is art, Mr. White?
which means happy days for Voyta. Apparently the voices in his head have gone quiet, and he might finally experience some peace. Maybe Voyta's accomplished something so great that the name and legacy of his friend can still live on. When I die, I want my wife to mix my ashes in with some Taco Bell so I can burn through that ass one last time. He also gives me the painted skull so it can be returned to its rightful owner. I put the skull back where it belongs, and all feels right in the world. That is, until I realize I left Krudosh tied to that tree. Hopefully, like Voyta, someone comes to rescue him because I'll be too busy building a home and running a business in the next DLC. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, it really means a lot. I'll be back to fumble the Legacy of the Forge DLC, so until then, I'll catch you next time.